Welcome to episode 9 of Bob's Garage. Today we're tearing into the 2.7 liter bi-turbo.
Okay, so here's my 2002 Audi S4. Around 125,000 miles on the car. I've had it for about 3 months and I got a coolant leak. So I decided to dig into it and I put it into service mode, which only gave me about 3 inches of space, and I still couldn't see where the leak was coming from. So what I did was disconnected the radiator via the hose that's up here from the thermostat housing that goes to the radiator down here, and I disconnected the hose up top here, and before I disconnected, I drained it via the temperature sensor, which is right here. So I opened it up and I still couldn't really figure out what the problem was or where it was leaking. I'm talking online, everyone says that it's either the water pump or the thermostat housing. This is a 2002, so the thermostat housing is this piece here, and 2002 it was plastic instead of metal. So I ordered a metal one, it's on its way. I also ordered another tensioner pulley thingy, this guy here, I have that. The car was making some noises on startup, so I wasn't sure if one of these tensioners was wearing out or what. And so this was all covered, you can see how shiny it is now, but this is all covered in oil. I'm hoping it's an old oil leak. It wasn't leaking oil before I took it apart. So cause of concern is this gasket pushing out here, and it's also kind of over there, you can see it. Not sure what that is, and I hope that's not a problem and it's stock or normal. Here's the stock S4 oil cooler. I do want to replace that with an RS4 oil cooler. Some things that I've learned is I folded the radiator forward like this. This is an automatic Tiptronic car, so it has the extra lines connected to the radiator for a transmission cooler, I guess is what I was told. So I guess stick shift cars don't have that, so you can actually just remove this entire radiator piece, set it off to the side. I didn't want to drain my trans fluid, so I left it intact. One thing I'm not sure what it is this thing here. It's kind of interesting, but it fits into this like hole, so I don't know if that just supports the radiator shroud. So I'd taken the condenser and swung it off to the side, and it's held on by a bungee cord, so these lines are still connected. So my AC system is still pressurized, it's still charged up. What else did I do? And what I'm having problems with is finding a wrench to take off the clutch fan for the water pump. Guess it's 32 millimeters, and AutoZone and everywhere else only carries domestic stuff, which is apparently like 36 millimeter. So awesome. I have that on order, it's coming in the mail. Another thing I noticed was my headlight washers weren't working, and I couldn't figure out why. But when I took off the bumper cover, I found that this was not even connected to the front bumper, and this clamp was in place. And it actually is leaking, so this clamp isn't really doing anything. And this was disconnected, so it was leaking out my washer fluid. So awesome. So I'm hoping I can hook it back up and at least make it work, or clamp it or cap it better to disable them in a more efficient way. So I just tested them out over here on my front bumper. I made a different video, but they actually do work when I hook my air compressor up to the air hose here. So they seem to work fine. My guess is someone was working on the car and forgot to hook them back up. It looks like whoever was working on the car last did it in a hurry or something. So there's a lot of bolts missing. I was actually missing my driver's side intercooler shroud. I did have the passenger side. I only had 2 out of the 3 bolts for the headlights. So I noticed when I was parked and the headlights were shining on my garage door, they were vibrating. So I ordered the bolts to the dealer. I already got the replacement driver's side shroud, and also I was missing some the seal. So there's a seal along here, it goes along here, and then there's supposed to be a seal that goes from here around the front of this whole panel. and I was actually missing that seal. So that seal is the top of the engine bay. So I ordered that. I already got that replacement. I got a replacement set of seals. Now, something else that I ran into was when I took off my charge pipes that go from the intercooler to the throttle body boot. They were, at least the passenger side was full of oil. The charge pipe that goes from here to here was full of oil. So I'm going to have to look into what is going on with that. From my understanding, for oil to get all the way up to here in the charge pipe, that means it has to come all the way through the turbo, through the intercooler, to here. So I'm assuming this intercooler is full of oil. I'm going to have to look up how to remove that. And I have some RS4 intercoolers, but I might wait to install those if this thing's pushing oil. Wait to install them until I can get an oil catch can. The driver's side charge pipe didn't have as much oil in it. So I don't know why one side would be more than the other. I don't know if that means an oil line is leaking, or what, like a turbo oil line. So I do need to get some clamps. I broke this one that come from the diverter valves to the charge pipe. I don't think oil would be coming through or from the diverter valve end of things because those are hooked up to the air intake. So oil's not coming through the air intake, it's coming from the other end. So right now I'm waiting on tools. I'm waiting on a clutch fan tool. I'm waiting on my cam lock tool. Yeah. In addition to the cam lock tool, I ordered Airlift, which is a tool used for adding coolant back into the system. It's going to be pretty slick. I'll have to make another video of that. And what else do we got going on here? That's about it. I mean, I haven't really gotten that far. I've been waiting for the tools. I ordered through JHM the timing belt kit, so that will include the timing belt, which is behind these covers. It'll also include all the idler pulleys that are inside of these covers. And what else? I did notice too, there's two bolts for the charge pipes. There's one here and one over here, and both of those bolts are missing. The charge pipes were also not in the little grooves. So there's like a little groove here that the charge pipe should have been like snapped into. So someone was in a rush. I don't know if it was the dealer I bought the car from. They did a little bit of work or what. But as far as I can tell, the underneath the intake looks dry. So I don't think it was my secondary water pump or whatever they call that leaking. So most likely it was the actual water pump. Water pump was replaced about 25,000 miles ago. From when I was reading, the stock paper gaskets that come with them are crap. It could have been, they could have used silicone. I'm really curious to see what it's gonna look like once I open this up. And what else? I don't know. So I didn't want to really do the cam seals and all that. And someone mentioned doing the valve cover gaskets. I don't know. I'm getting tired already. So I just want to get this coolant leak fixed. It was leaking to the point where I could see it dripping down the driveway. So here's the min line, and it was down to about here, and it was getting just worse and worse pretty quickly. So I just stopped driving it and started ripping into it. So we'll see. Other than that, there was just a few other bolts that were missing, like holding up the front clip and stuff, and I didn't understand how to. There were a couple bolts missing on the fender liners, stuff like that. Other than that, yeah, that's it. I probably need to order or get an accessory belt, which is this belt here. So the belt itself looks okay, but I was spraying engine cleaner and all that down in there and got it all dirty, the belt all dirty and stuff. So yeah, so we'll see how this goes. I just need to keep at it. I need to get this fan clutch off so I can get to these get to the timing belt. So, I also got the crank lock pin, and you know, I saw a video online, and they kind of said it was easy to get to, and there's no way I'll be able to show it in my cell phone, but it's behind, like midway through the engine block, behind the oil dipstick tube, which is like in there. I can see it. There's no way I can even get to it, and I'm assuming when I pull that plug that it screws into, that the crank lock pin screws into, I'm assuming that's going to start draining my oil. So, I don't know if I want to go that route or not. Other than that, we'll see. I got tools and stuff and parts coming soon, so stay tuned.